Hey, what's going on, everybody? I've been running SCX24s for 2 or 3 years now, basically since the Deadbolt came out. That's my original one over there. Had some modifications over the years, but I just wanted to make a quick video going over all of the upgrades that I think are worth it, maybe some of the stuff that I don't think is worth it. So anybody getting into the hobby can kind of have an idea of what they should do or maybe what they should avoid. First off, kind of my bias is I go towards performance. So I'm not really that interested in doing like a really heavy hard body. I'm not really interested in doing too many cosmetic mods. I kind of want these things to crawl, but at the same time, I kind of want them to look realistic. I really like the C10. I'm trying to keep that one pretty much all original. I'm not going to be cutting up the body or anything like that. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my personal bias. I'm also kind of cheap, so if I can do something similar for less money, I'm probably going to take that route. Some resources I like to follow is 2FMRC and Donald Sneff here on YouTube. I have no idea if I pronounced Donald's last name correctly, but I'm just going to go with it. They make great videos. They don't seem compromised by advertisers. Unfortunately, in this space, just like in the lots of other RC parts of the world, you get a lot of people that are just talk great about the stuff that they got for free, but really it's junk. So I don't, not never taking anything for free. I'm not taking any money. This is just what I've found over the last couple of years. All right, the first thing you should do if you are using the stock charger is unplug it, smash it with your foot, and throw it away. I don't even have any here to I can show you because I've thrown them all away already. I've seen way too many pictures and videos on Facebook, on the Facebook groups of people's chargers that have started on fire. They started the battery on fire. They burnt a spot in their garage. I don't think I've ever seen any like full-on house burn downs, but I would not want that thing anywhere in my house. So with that out of the way, first upgrade a lot of people are going to be looking at is adding weight. Um, with the first SCX24 I ever got, I went super cheap. I've got some lead weights, like wheel weights, glued in there. Hot glue seems to stick them pretty good. I've got 28 grams up front, so that's 4 7-gram weights and 14 grams out the back. 2 7-gram weights glued there. I've experimented with more, kind of seemed like diminishing returns. But again, basically free, just lead wheel weights I had around from taking off of various rims, just glued in there. You can go with the brass route, but again, I'm kind of cheap. So like on this rig, I've got brass knuckles. This was a used rig, so it came with the brass knuckles. Over here on this rig, I've got some brass extensions and brass diff covers. But again, those diff covers are like between 5 and 8 grams, depending upon which ones you buy. And the knuckles together are somewhere between 12 and 17 grams. So not even close to what the lead ones weigh. And you're looking at spending 20, 30 bucks on brass covers and knuckles. I do Treal make some. I don't have any. Treal. They're on Amazon. I don't have any of those, but they do look really nice. But they are 17 bucks a pop for the brass covers for the diff cover. But they weigh 11 grams, so you get more. You spend more money, you get more weight, and I think they look a lot better than these guys. Again, that's just personal preference. If you guys like this brass look hanging out and you want to replicate that, you think it looks cool, do not let me stop you. Don't let anybody on the internet stop you. If you like it and you think it's cool, go for it. Shocks. I do have some Treal shocks on here. This is a belly dragger, so what that means is there's no springs on the shocks. It just drags along its belly as it's going, as the name implies. And I don't think that any upgraded shocks are really worth it. People who have experimented with the oil-filled ones, they don't seem to really think that they're worth anything. So all my other rigs use the stock ones. On here, I do have double barrels. A double barrel shock has that brass insert, so it can actually extend to roughly twice the limit. But you can see I run a limiter on the front and the back, because that's just, especially on this kind of rig, it kind of works. But if you're running something smaller like a stock body deadbolt or a C10, the double barrels is just going to make you way too tall and you're just going to want to tip over. So with the limiters on here, I can still have almost the full extension on the off side of the double barrel shock while it compresses on the other side. But then as it's running, it's roughly the same height as stock. So that's what the rubber bands are on the front and the back. They're limiting the extension of the front and the back. A steering, a lot of people don't like the stock steering because there's lots of slop in it. This one's kind of blinding you with the lights, but there's a lot of slop in this stock plastic. I personally really like the aluminum ones that have the connection on the top. You see how the connection's on the top right here, versus like the one from Triel, the connection's in the front. So it doesn't really seem like a whole lot, but this actually reduces your approach angle because you'll start to grab stuff on here, whereas on this one, it's on the top of it, so that's not going to be grabbing. I kind of prefer the ones on the top. This Triel one's nice though. There's not just a little nitpick. If I'm gonna go out and buy another one, it's gonna be the one with the nut on the top. I do have to trim this up a little bit because that's gonna grab too. Links. I am a big fan of 3D printing, so I have 3D printed designed and 3D printed all my custom links. So I've got high clearance links on the back of all my rigs. I actually found that putting high clearance on the front, especially on this rig with how aggressive it is against the ground, putting high clearance links in the front actually would start to get hung up on kind of this middle area here. So I put high clearance links in the back, but not high clearance links in the front. So it kind of looks a little silly not having them on the front when you got them on the back. But I've actually found that you'll get up on a rock and you'll really slide up the rock, and then the high clearance links in the back give you the clearance, and then you can hop over the rock. So just something you find through experimenting. If you don't have a 3D printer or don't have a friend that has a 3D printer, you can go out and find high clearance links. They're not that expensive. Just make sure you buy the right lengths. The lengths between the deadbolt and the C10 stock are different. And now with the Gladiator 2, those have longer links as well. So just make sure you're buying the right links for the right vehicle. Another upgrade that I do to all of my rigs, basically as soon as I get them, is 3D print this battery tray. The deadbolt's really bad because if you are using the stock battery tray in the back, you can't use anything other than that little flat stock battery. The flat stock battery will fit back there, but anything thicker than this won't work. So what I do is I print this 3D printed part here. It's a pretty easy print. Even if you're getting started with printing, you should be able to print it. And what this does is allows you to mount the battery up front. The battery is almost twice the stock battery is almost twice the weight of the electronics. So you get that further down inside of the chassis from where it normally would be. Normally it's back here, above where that receiver would be. And then I just poke two little holes inside of the receiver. I think this will work with a V2. I don't actually have any V2s, but then I put a screw through there, and that's where I mount the stock receiver ESC, and then I pop the battery up here. If you're running the stock servo, you have to run a little bit of an extender on it, but I find this really helps with balance, and it's pretty close to a free mod, especially if you already have a printer. All right, my ramble is getting a little long here, so I'm going to cut this here, and part 2 is going to be about electronics.